Hi, thanks for practicing some yin yoga with me today. If you normally practice more active style yoga, then yin yoga is the perfect complement to that. It is the yin and yang of yoga. This is the lunar or the feminine energy, so we don't need to warm up, we're not generating heat. One thing about yin yoga is you will need a ton of props because we want the props to essentially position us into the pose without us really doing a lot of work. You will need a block or blocks if you have some, as many cushions as you can find, cushions that are more firm. Less squishy, the better. And a throw blanket would be helpful as well. So we'll go ahead and get started with our first pose, which is child's pose. So you might be familiar with this. However, we'll change it up a little bit by bringing the knees a lot further apart than we normally would. We'll round the spine and start pushing the hip back toward the heels. Then we want a pretty good amount of cushions and pillows. So I'm almost putting it toward my hips and I'm stacking the pillow. I'll actually do another one. So I can lift up, lengthen, and then come forward. Allow the arms to rest and relax. Now, if it's uncomfortable on the knees, another option is to place a pillow or rolled up blanket behind your knees or between the hips and the heels. So that's an option for you too. Lengthening and then coming as forward as we can. Relax the shoulders. Turn your head to one side. Allow yourself to let go. Simply bringing awareness to the sensations of our body during the pose. Lengthening through the spine. Arms are not reaching, rather just let them go where they go. Don't hesitate to readjust or reposition. If your head is turned to the side, you might want to turn it to the opposite side so your neck doesn't get stiff. In yin yoga, we come out of the poses very gently, slowly. We've been doing that for a while. Gently start easing out of all those props. You can set them aside, out of your way. And then let's do a little counter pose. Swing the legs around. That might feel good. They've been bent for quite some time now. Shake them out, windshield wiper the legs. And moving on to our next yin pose, and that will be lying on our backs in a passive form of bridge pose. Lower all the way down onto your backside. Have either the cushions or the block handy. If you want to roll up a towel or blanket under the back of your head, that might be a little bit more comfortable for you as well. Allow shoulder blades and the hips to settle into the mat with the knees bent. Knees are about hip distance apart, feet hip distance apart. I'm going to lift the hips, tucking the tailbone, gentle lift. Now, if you have a yoga block, go ahead and grab that and place the lowest side directly under your upper bum, lower back. Gently lower the hips onto the lowest side of the block. Again, if you don't have a block, just use more like a firm cushion. We are in our bridge pose, but we don't have to do any of the work for it. We can keep the block on its lowest side. If you want and you feel comfortable with this, you can lift the hips, turn the block onto its medium height. Feet are hip distance apart, knees hip distance apart. We can either let the arms rest out at our sides with the palms facing up, or we can reach behind the head, grabbing opposite elbows. That's going to open the chest more. I'm going to bring my arms back to my sides. I kind of like that one better. Palms are facing up. Close the eyes. Allowing the shoulder blades, the head, the arms to lie heavily against the ground. This is a nice grounding pose, making contact with the soles of both feet, as much contact as we can.
Notice all the different contact points that your body is making with the ground. Softening across the forehead. And a few more breaths.
If your arms aren't reaching behind your head, go ahead and do so we can slowly awaken the arms and open through the chest.
We'll bring our arms back to our sides
so we can press into the ground, lift the hips a little higher than the block, and gently release that block out from underneath you. Lower the hips and give both legs a gentle hug. You can hug behind the thighs, front of the knees, and some rocking back and forth. We can lift the chin toward the chest. And however you like to come up to a seated position. Next is butterfly pose. And that will be nice and comfy. If you have a throw blanket, you can go grab. If you need to pause the video, go ahead. I grabbed kind of a heavier blanket, but I rolled it. You want to be able to roll it into a longer blanket. If you'd like, you can sit on a cushion. It definitely is
easier on the hips.
So it can be a little bit higher than my knees. We're bringing the soles of the feet together. We don't care where the knees go. We're not trying to push them down to the ground. In fact, if you have enough cushions, I'd like you to be able to place one cushion under each knee. So taking the blanket, and as we bring the feet together, and they don't have to be very close to the hips, they can be a little distance away. Roll the blanket and place it over the tops of the feet. And then the ends of the blanket tuck underneath the shins. A little pretzel. And then see how the two ends come up through. That's why you need a little bit of length to the blanket. Okay. Now, we need a pillow. Place it on our lap. Lift up nice and tall. Then start hinging forward over the pillow, whatever you're using. We can hug that, or if you want to hold a block for your head. If you don't need a pillow and you'd like to go further, you can do that, and you can use the block for your head or 2 blocks for your head. So go ahead and start playing around with your props. Settling into your pose. Take your time, find the comfortable position, utilize whatever props work best for you. Try to resist from that reaching feeling. We always feel like we want to reach when we're forward. Arms, let them go where they go. Sinking into the pose. Slowly begin easing out of the pose. And shed any props that you have helping out. Let's shake the legs out and do our counter stretch, which would be windshield wipers inward rotation. Let's move into an extension position for our spine next. That will be Sphinx pose. Flipping over onto your belly, we won't need as many props. One thing that does feel nice if you'd like is you could take a pillow or your bolster toward the back of your mat. You want to be on our belly. My legs are going to go this way. I want to prop my bolster up with the block so it's on a little bit of an angle. I always like to use a block for this one. Coming all the way down on your belly. We're going to be propped up, elbows directly under the shoulders. I like to use my block and place it under my rib cage so I can still hold that Sphinx pose and get a little extension in my spine. without getting too tired of my shoulders. We want the chin slightly tucked downward. Try to relax through the shoulders as much as you can. Sphinx pose is a great way to encourage lower lumbar curve in our lower spine that we tend to lose with age. If you feel like you could go deeper in this pose, you always have that option.
Pressing up onto the hands.
Lifting the elbows. Make sure you keep some distance between the ears and the shoulders because
It's very easy to
shrug in there. So if you lift to the hands, make sure you have that space.
Softening through the glutes. Feel free to stay on your hands if you went there.
I'm coming back down to my elbows. Start easing out of the pose, losing the prop, moving them off to the side, and come all the way down onto your arms. Folded arms, turn your head to one side. We'll bend the knees and windshield wiper the lower legs back and forth. Massage for your thighs. Place the legs back. Slide the hands towards your chest and we'll push up
To all fours.
Counter stretch for the Sphinx pose would be cat. So we'll round the
Spine.
should feel good. Should almost feel like we need to do that. And have a seat on the mat. Our last pose will be Shavasana or corpse pose. It's lying flat on your back, but of course the props can really help. If you'd like, if you did grab a blanket, you can unroll it and fold it flat so we can place it on top of the belly for a little bit of pressure. It always feels nice on the belly. We want either 2 smaller pillows or 2 yoga blocks. So when you lie down, we can keep the knees a bit bent and lie on your backside. If you have a small pillow or rolled up blanket or towel, place that under the knees. It takes a little bit of pressure off the spine. Lower all the way down on your backside. If you have 2 small cushions or 2 blocks, you can place them under your elbows and have the hands rest on the belly, or you can just let your arms rest at your side with your palms facing up. bring a little bit of movement back to the body, maybe wiggling the fingers over the wrist, letting your legs rotate inward, flexing the feet, reach over your head, bend the knees, rocking the head heavily side to side. Give both knees a gentle hug. Roll to your side and press up to a seated position. Surrounded by props. Thank you so much for practicing with me.
Namaste.